Hello, everyone, and welcome to another show with the Hagir Network. And today I am really, really happy to be with Amy. Amy, you are someone that I truly love and admire. You are very young, you are someone who's making a difference. And I truly hope everyone listen to you today, listen to your story, will be inspired and try to make a difference in the community. So without further ado, Emmy, can you please introduce yourself? Tell us who you are and what you do.
Thank you so much, Hajir. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for bearing with me. I'm just so excited to be here and to meet everyone. My name is Imtithal Mahmoud. I'm called Emi. I'm a Goodwill ambassador for UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency. I'm a poet, an activist, and I'm a founder. And I'm so excited to be here and to share with you, what it is that we can all do together, hopefully to make a difference in any way we can.
You are making a difference. So tell us, where did you start? Like, start from the beginning. How did
Thank
you came here? Where you originally from?
Perfect. Yeah. So I was born in Sudan. I was born in Khartoum and in Umdurman specifically. I grew up in the US and I became a public speaker when I was 10 years old, when we first, started talking about the genocide in Darfur. And I started writing poetry. I was 10. I remember so much of that time, I don't remember exactly how it is. My mom explained all of the difficulties that were happening on the ground, all the violence and the genocide. But I remember the feeling. The feeling was that we had to do something. I felt that I had a question in me, which was, what did the children do? And that was the last line of my first poem that I shared publicly about Darfur, and I was 10 years old. And from then, I was also, a super nerd. So I love science and, school in general and stuff. And so it ended up becoming a Leonard Annenberg Scholar. I got a full scholarship to any US-based university. I ended up going to Yale University. I studied anthropology, molecular cellular developmental biology, and I got a certificate in global health, going into medicine. People always ask, how do you wear different hats. And I like to say that I like to study people from the inside and from the outside. And so that's how the two different worlds go together, the social science and the science, the humanitarianism and the art. All of those things to me, they work together to sort of talk about the human experience. And for me, I learned most of that from my family and from my community. There's something that we learned very early on that you're supposed to treat everyone with care and love and compassion, like you would treat your neighbor or your brother or your family, in general. And so, because of that, I learned that, you can't advocate for human rights without advocating for everyone's human rights. You can't advocate for women's rights without advocating for all of the women's rights, And so, you see a lot of people talk about human rights or women's rights, but Sudan goes unnoticed, and a lot of vulnerable people go unnoticed, and refugees go unnoticed. And so it was just very natural for me to get to the place where I am, where I very much believe that we have to do everything we can to make sure that people are not erased and that our voices work toward the greater good. Because the problems that exist in the world didn't happen overnight and they weren't caused by one person. So it will take all of us a long time together, working together, all hands on deck to reverse those problems and to work toward good. There's no time to take a break, is what I'm saying. We have to do what we can.
You're absolutely right. You are not taking it. Um, it all. You are all-rounded human being, and mainly your work to raise awareness. As we see here, the media is not bringing the information about what is happening in Sudan. Is not talking about the genocide since the genocide in Darfur, and even before that with the war between the North and the South, and now the current war. Sudan is one of the worst humanitarian crises in the world, but
Yeah,
yet there is not enough information. You have to really search for it. So
exactly.
thank you for what you're doing. And can you talk to us about this area first?
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of people don't know, not only is it one of the worst humanitarian crises in the world, but it is currently the biggest displacement crisis in the world. There are more than 8 million people who have been displaced just in the past year from what happened in Sudan, from the war in Sudan. And there's a famine and there's so much going on. And people are dying every day. And I myself have lost 14 family members in the past year. And the grieving, it just can't be explained. Like we not only grieve the people that we've lost, but we grieve a loss of future, a loss of potential, a loss of so many different things. And the reality is that a lot of people, even now, even with Sudan being the biggest displacement crisis, one of the biggest humanitarian crises in the world, it goes under the radar. And it's difficult because I know that it's happening, very, very much immediately. And how do I say, it's very much tied to every day for us who are Sudanese. Every day we're dealing with this. Every day we're trying to figure out how to get family members, evacuate them out of Sudan, or to help with the medical crisis, because a lot of people are dying because there's no access to care either. And the gaps are being filled by civilians, and that's exactly the kind of advocacy that we've been doing over the past year, and why I started Taharruk, to move people for Sudan, it's a peace campaign, and we're working on civilian peace talks right now, because the peace talks that are happening in Geneva next week, on the 14th, don't naturally have a way to include civilians. So we created this incredible initiative through our different partners like SAPA and the ERRs and Madame Darfour and the other SAPA, like so many different groups. If I were to put it simply, imagine that your whole world falls apart and everything is shut off, whether it's the Wi-Fi, the electricity, there's no access to food or water. If you need to go to the hospitals are shut, attacked, bombed. And if you go outside, you can lose your life at your front door or in your house, like it happened to many of my family members, where the civilian areas were being attacked. Imagine all of that is happening, and the only support you have is each other. And that's how it's been for Sudanese people for so long now, but we're reaching out and we're trying to get so much more support. I became the world champion of spoken word poetry back in 2015, and then I won another championship in 2016, broke 3 world records, became one of BBC's 100 most inspirational women. And what I learned over time is that when you reach people where they least expect to be reached, that's when real change can happen. Because if you speak to somebody politically, they'll respond politically. If you speak to them academically, they'll respond academically. If you speak with hate, they'll respond with hate. But if you speak with your humanity, they have to respond with their humanity. If there are 3 things that I want people to really know about what's happening in Sudan, it's that the death toll increases every day. Thousands upon thousands of people have been killed, many of them children, many of them women. Access to care isn't there. Can you imagine rationing dialysis? Can you imagine, you know, um, uh, children being born without any medical support? Like you're giving birth at home without any hospitals or anyone nearby. Can you imagine all of that? And on top of that, there's a famine. And on top of that, the violence keeps going. And on top of that, innocent civilians are being, their lives are being taken for no reason and for no end. And so that's why we're pulling all of our voices together and having everybody join the cause, because together we can reach millions and millions of people and create that lift, like the ERRs and SAPA and all of us are doing together, is trying to fill in gaps. And a lot of it is self-funded, like funded by the community and such. So whoever can support and whoever can help lift our voices, I know we'll go far. I'm talking really fast because I'm super nervous, but I'm
That's
telling you
okay.
everything I can, because the
You don't
reality is
need to
the
be
only
nervous.
reach.
You
I
are
know.
doing
Thank you
an
so much.
amazing job as always.
You are so kind.
You represent all the
Thank
time.
you.
And
Trying.
yeah, so no reason to be nervous, but yeah. So
Yeah,
you know, you and so many other amazing Sudanese leader in the diaspora are doing
yeah.
what they can. Um, what what we can do to make everyone listen and care. Um, just give us a suggestion from from
Um,
everything that you've been doing, and what are you doing
yeah.
basically right now?
So I created Taharrak. Taharrak is a civilian-led, a Sudanese-led campaign for peace, and it joins together so many different Sudanese civilian-led NGOs like SAPA, the ERRs, and Malam Darfur. Those are only a few of our partners. We have many other partners, and they're joining more each day. And right now, we're running the Civilian Peace Talks, the global town hall for Sudan. And we've been able to reach thousands of people. We were able to get the results for more than 100 civilian peace talks, and we're making sure that those voices are heard in Geneva. Those civilian recommendations for peace are able to, make sure that civilians are at the table. So it's not just you know um, people who are not as affected who are deciding the future of all of us, And what's really making me smile is not that what's it called? That, everything is over just yet, but that I feel this like overwhelming sense of hope and optimism when I see the efforts that Sudanese people are doing. So I would say a couple things you can do right now is you can donate to the Mutual Aid Sudan or Sahara campaign, which reaches civilians on the ground. You can, help share the information and raise awareness for the big, you know, push that's happening right now to try and like create a ceasefire and open humanitarian channels. Like those are the two biggest things that civilians are calling for. We need to end the violence. Like there needs to be a ceasefire immediately all across Sudan. I'm from El Fasher and it's been under siege for, ages now. 1 million people are at the risk of starvation and many are dying every day. And this is the reality across of so much of Sudan. So we need the guns to be silenced. We need the violence to stop. We need there to be a ceasefire immediately. We also need humanitarian channels to be open. Aid is not reaching and the aid is not enough. So that's the third thing. We need there to be support. We need more awareness so that more people can help shoulder the burden that civilians are carrying almost on their own right now. And yeah, and we just need you to, remember Sudan and just know that it's not something that's forgotten or like a forgotten war. It's actually something that Sudanese civilians every day are pushing for peace. The majority of Sudanese people want peace. We want safety. We want to be healthy. We want our kids to go to school. Millions of kids are not in school right now in Sudan. It's been that way the past year. And so it's like, there's so much that's going on. The last thing I'll say is like, you have to remember one of the most important things that I like to say is that you can't help Sudanese people without Sudanese people. So please reach out to Sudanese initiatives, reach out, whether it's at Taharrak or SAPA or, the ERRs or whoever it is. You can reach all of them through us and all of them through each other or whatever it is. And we'll definitely watch the space. We'll be bringing you more and more information and more of the voices directly from the people. So yeah, look out for us and wherever you can, just spread the word that Sudanese people want peace, we want freedom, and we want to have a future that's worthy and reminiscent of the potential of our people, because our people are some of the nicest, the kindest, smartest that you'll find. And, just through those efforts that we have together of like feeding your neighbor or, helping the elderly or the young people or whatever it is, like that's how we've been able to build our humanitarian networks. We have the saying Eid Eid Tashdaq Eid, which means that a hand to hand will go far. So it's like if you reach from one hand to the next, and I've heard that from my grandmas, may they rest in peace. I've heard it all my life as a Sudanese person. So we're reaching out our hands, and I hope you'll grasp them and join us.
You and honestly, this is not something that I ever imagined people will ignore. But here
Yeah,
we are. Um, no one is speaking about it. This is, like you said, something that the people in Sudan are living every day, waking up or dying, lack of resources, everything that you we take for granted every day.
yeah.
When we wake up, it is not there. So, anything, starting by raising awareness, talking, learning about what is happening there. And this is an important part of who you are and what you do, the humanitarian part. But let's talk about you as an artist,
Yeah.
a poet, and someone who is trying to make a difference, because a lot of people will look at art and before they never thought this could be a agent of change, but
Oh,
it
that's,
is. How are
yeah,
you
it is.
using that?
Yeah, I think it absolutely. And Hajar, like I want to say, like, it's it's not that we're doing nothing, we're doing everything we can. Sudanese people are trying, but we can't do it alone, right? And so when we say that no one knows, we don't mean that no one knows. We mean that not enough people know for us to actually be able to help our families, help our people, and help everyone. We're living it every day in Sudan, and we're also living it every day in the diaspora. And that's where art comes in, like you said. Art, I think, definitely it helps you reach people where they least expect to be reached. It breaks down the barriers between you and any other person. And I think the best way is for me to actually share a poem, hopefully to help people understand that. But for me, I think that
Yes.
it's yeah, it's the best way to protest. So please share this, and please remember the Taharrat campaign, moving people for Sudan. It's a peace campaign for Sudan. If you don't remember that, remember Emi. Yeah, it's my name. I'm a poet, and you'll be able to go on our pages, whether it's on Instagram or wherever it is. I'm on social media, wherever we are, just try to reach out to us, and we will tell you who needs help, because we every day I'm getting phone calls, every day I'm getting texts from people on the ground, from family members, not only about somebody passing away or something, another bomb hitting another place, but also about, XYZ needs water, they need food, they need help or whatever. And we do it. We try our best to get it done, but there's not enough of us. We need the world to help, not only the Sudanese world. And I think that's the optimistic note I like to leave people on, that if we work together, we can do it together. So but for now, just keep an eye out for the civilian peace talks. We've reached thousands, and there are, so many responses, and we're about to put together the civilian recommendations for peace, which will be part of the peace process in Geneva. And for now, I was going to share a poem called Sudan Beledi, but I think I'm going to share this poem called Mama, because I think that it is time for us to really push for women's voices, especially, to be heard. I think women should be at the peace talks. I think if women were in charge, we wouldn't have any wars. I really believe that. And so, yeah. So is it okay if I share Mama?
Agrees, yes.
But my mom, my dad, all of my family inspires me, but my grandmas, everyone, the matriarchs, and you are a matriarch, Hajar, all of us are, and I really want this to encourage people to remember how strong Sudanese women are, and how it is that if we work together, we can really make a difference. It means a lot, and I'm just happy to see you. Okay, this poem is called Mama. Okay. So I'm walking down the street when a man stops me and says, "Hey, yo, sister, are you from the motherland?" Because my skin is a shade too dark not to have come from foreign soil. Because the garment on my head screams Africa. Because my body is a beacon calling everyone to come flock to the motherland. I'm like, yeah, I'm from Sudan. Why? He says, yes, you is, because you got a little bit of flavor in you. Don't get me wrong. I'm just admiring what your mama gave you. Let me tell you something about my mama. She can reduce a man to tattered flesh without so much as blinking. Her words fester beneath your skin, and the whole time you won't be able to stop cradling her eyes, because my mama is a woman, flawless and formidable in the same step. Woman walks into a war zone and has warriors cowering at her feet. My mama holds all of us in her face, in her body, in her blood, and blood is no good once you let it loose. So she always holds us close, keeping us safe from caving in. When I was 7, my mama cradled bullets in the billows of her robes. That same night, she came home and taught me how to get gunpowder out of cotton with a bar of soap. Years later, when the soldiers held her at gunpoint and asked her who she was, she said, "I am a woman. I am a daughter of Adam. Ana bani Adama. Who the hell are you?" And the last time we went home, we watched our village burn. soldiers pouring blood from civilian skulls as if they too could turn water into wine. The woman who raised me turned and said, "Don't be scared. I'm your mother. I'm here. I won't let them through." My mama gave me conviction. Women like her inherit bruised wrists, tired eyes, and titanium plated spines. The daughters of widows wearing the wings of amputees that carry countries between their shoulder blades. Now, I'm not saying that dating is a first world problem, but these trifling guys seem to be. The kind who'll quote Rumi but not know what he sacrificed for war, who fawn over Lupita but turn their racial filters on, who take their politics with a latte when I take mine with tear gas. Every guy I meet wants me my introduction to the dark side, wants me to open up this obsidian skin and let him read every tearful page, because what survivor hasn't had her struggle made spectacle? Don't talk about the motherland unless you know that being from Africa means waking up an afterthought in this country. Don't talk about my flavor unless you know that my flavor is insurrection, it is rebellion, it is resistance. My flavor is burden, it is grit, and it is compromise. And you don't know compromise till you rebuilt your home for the third time without bricks, without mortar, without any other option. I turned to the man and said, "My mother and I don't walk the streets alone back home anymore. Back home, there are no streets to walk anymore." Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I am going to ask everyone who is listening to us right now and will listen later on to go on and hear all your amazing poems that actually make someone feel and know, what is happening in Sudan and what happened to you. You're telling a story and you're telling it so beautifully. It's like the first time I heard you, I was mesmerized. Your
So much
way
that means.
and your smile, and that's one thing I heard. One of the ladies said, "You're reading a poem that is about, genocide and war, and you're smiling."
Mm,
And in my mind, I wanted to say to her, she is doing this so she can give hope.
yeah.
She's not smiling because what she's reading or what she knows is funny or a happy thing, but you
No, it's
have to
not.
be positive, and you have. So I'm sure you heard that a lot. Have you heard someone
Yeah.
said to you your smile?
Of
Mm-hmm.
course. And so the thing is, a lot of people say they're touched by it because they understand that it's a smile of pain, right?
Yeah,
It's something that
yeah.
I remember, and it's going to make me cry if I say this, but it's the reality.
Mm-hmm.
I remember asking my family every time I would go back to Sudan, to Darfur, during the genocide, during the war, and all of that. And they would say to me, I would say to them, like, how can you laugh? How can you smile? And they said, because you can take away our lives, but you cannot take our humanity. And that's the thing. Like, when I talk about the war, the genocide, all these things, I'm talking about something that people have done to us. But what we're doing, what we push back, the power that we have is our resilience and our hope. And it's so emotional talking about it because it's a painful time. Like I've lost, like I said, 14 family members in just a year, and some of them were children. And it's hard because, it's almost like we don't have time to grieve. We don't have time to um, think of ourselves. We have to think about our families and our people and all the vulnerable people across the world, the refugees. And there's over 1 million people who are forced to flee from Sudan. Over 8 million people are displaced because of this most recent war, and there's more every day, and there were already more before. But it's like that. It's something that people understand. Like when they see it, they understand the pain that's behind there. And I have a 7-year-old sister, and she doesn't know about the genocide, and she only knows a little bit about the war, and she's the future, and the future is already here. So we, like you said, have to remain hopeful and strong. I know I mentioned it a couple times that we're supporting different civilian initiatives, but I forgot to say like the kind of things that we're supporting through Taharruk and through all of our networks, like the ERs and everyone, is that, you know, they've got, what is it, clinics, soup kitchens, community kitchens, um, trying to do telehealth and other things like that. There, some of the ERs, for example, they'll fix electrical issues, and we're trying to just reach everybody as much as we can. And it's all of us young people and just people in general trying to do what we can. So when you support us, that can work. And it's painful, especially for Sudan, because even INGOs like UNHCR and stuff we're not hitting our fundraising marks because there isn't enough support or empathy for Sudan. And so when I say please support any initiative for Sudan, especially civilian-led initiatives,
Mhm.
where you're making a difference between life and death. I smile to stop myself from crying. I smile because I remember they can't take our humanity. They can take our lives, but they can't take our humanity. And I smile because I'm remembering that there has to be hope, because it's basically the only weapon that we have. We have hope and we have each other, and that's it.
And you said it, I can't say it any better. This is our coping.
Yeah,
People have to get up and live the next day
yeah,
so you can be able to fight and so you can be able to help. So
yeah,
this a coping mechanism for all of us, and being positive is another thing, right? And you said something is really important, and I hope people will think about what you just said. This is all lessons for anyone who is going through things. You don't have to be sour. You don't have to become the issue that is happening to you. You don't have to be crying and in bed and just taking all of that. That's going to not allow you to do anything or help. So
you grieve when you can.
we have to go. You said we don't have time to grieve, and that's
Yeah,
what I always say to my kids anytime anyone asks me, you just keep going. Whatever happened, you keep going, because when you are in a fight and flight mode,
yeah, it's
you
tough.
don't have time to sit and take a
I
drink.
can't say this enough. Like Hajit, exactly. Like our entire community is traumatized and we barely have time to grieve. Like for me, there have been days of like in bed crying with our families. And when we have our funerals, we all hug each other and we cry. And in the beginning and even now, there's like every single week, there's a funeral. Every day there's a funeral. And like you said, we have to keep moving because we grieve when we're together, but we don't have enough time to even grieve because it's not over. It's happening right now. That's what we're trying to say, where grief is important, crying is important, but you can't let it take over everything, right? Because it's still happening right now. Like
Yeah.
the death is not taking a break, the disease is not taking a break. We
Mhm.
take breaks when we can and lean on each other. And so we keep passing hand to hand, right? So on days where I can rest a little bit, I know Hajir is like doing everything she can. And on days that Hajir can rest, I know I'm doing everything I can. And together we build that civilian network, we build that network where we're all helping each other because it hurts and it's so hard. And whenever I do Mama, I can't help but smile because I'm thinking
Yeah.
about the matriarchs in my family. I'm thinking about the hell that they went through and still were able to create children like us. My grandmother couldn't read because women weren't allowed to read and write back then. But
Mhm.
I'm a scholar and I'm a scientist and a
Yeah.
poet. Their rebellion was raising kids who'd be obsessed with learning. And so when I think of them, it's almost like we're channeling their spirits and it's like they want us to smile. So it's like you said, Hajit, it's so hard. I know one day when we have peace, one day when everything is better, when we can take a real break, I know I'm just going to be crying for days. But now, like
I
you said,
I
yeah,
hope not. I hope you will feel
you can cry from
lifted and
joy. No, I will. I
yes, we're
will.
gonna cry
I'll be
from
crying
joy.
from joy. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And it's okay. It's okay to cry. Everybody grieve differently.
Yeah.
And we just need to take that time and try to grieve. But
Yeah.
again, when there is an ongoing war and when there is
Exactly.
something that you can't do anything to help but use your voice, be strong. Sometimes you just have to be strong so
Yeah.
others can stay strong.
And
That
together,
that could be the fine line, right?
yeah. And when you help us, the burden becomes lighter. Like more hands lifting it,
Yes.
it becomes lighter. And that's why we're asking for help. I love
Yeah.
talking to you so
Yeah.
much, Hafsa. You're amazing. And you're
Same
right.
here, same here. And, we are definitely going to do more of this.
Inshallah. Yes.
We are going to share all the contact information,
Yeah.
your websites, anything that you want us to share with everyone.
Please, yes.
Send it. We're going to
Yeah.
post it under this video and we're going to share it a page, but we normally do close to the ends. We do something we call the lightning round. It's something like fun
Uh,
and just to get to know you personally.
okay.
So, first,
Before we go straight into
who
it, I'll tell
inspired
you.
you the most? Who
My
inspired you the
mom,
most?
my family. I would say my grandma. My grandma. Yeah. She's may she rest in peace, but she was amazing, you know. I'm saying my mom, my
Is
dad,
looking,
my grandma.
looking
Oh,
from above.
yeah. She's amazing because during the famines, she fed everyone, like in back in the 80s and in the 90s and stuff. And she opened up her home and she fed so many people. And, you know, she basically carried the village on her back. And it was just inspiring. So she was one of the first humanitarians that I knew. And that spirit is carried in all of us, you know? Yeah.
And she made you, and you're just
Yeah.
keeping her spirit going. So,
Strong lady.
any fun memory, any story? We did the stories from Sudan, and we're gonna have you submit something and send it to us. But
No, for sure.
any memory that comes to your mind right now
Like a
that you think
fun
some
memory.
people might enjoy?
Yeah, yeah. Let me think what would be. There's so many funny stories, especially with my younger siblings. Okay, I think I think one of the funniest ones was just teaching my little brothers about what do you call it? About plants, right? So like a lot of the kids, like very young kids nowadays, they don't really know where food comes from because everything is processed, right? So if you ask somebody, "Oh, what flavor do you like?" They'll say red or yellow, right? That's not a flavor, right? So if you say red, you mean cherry or something, right? So I brought them some seeds to grow some flowers. And so I remember my brother was like 8 years old, and I said, okay, let's plant the seeds. And we planted and we put the soil and we put the water on it. And they said, okay, where's the flower? I said, what do you mean? He said, where's the flower? And I said, no, it has to grow. And he said, I don't understand. So I said, no. And so then they nurtured them for a couple of weeks at a time. And eventually, like they saw that the green comes out first and then the flower and all of that. And I swear they didn't believe me. I said, no, just give it time. They're like, I don't understand. So I
They
thought
all
that
need
was
to
really
spend some
funny.
time in Sudan.
Yeah, you need to spend some time outside too. Yeah. So
Yep,
that's the thing.
hopefully soon.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
Allah in
So,
peace.
what would you tell your 16, 18 years olds? What would
My
you tell
future
Emmy?
18-year-old self, what would I tell her? I would
Mhm.
tell her keep writing poetry. That's number one. Just keep writing. Don't stop. Don't ever stop writing. And I would tell her that um it doesn't get easier, but you get stronger. And that's the difference. Yeah. So oh, I think
That's
you're frozen.
amazing. That's amazing. That's
Thank you.
amazing.
So
Something that people might, anyone that know you here might not know about you, or something that people misunderstood about Amy.
oh, okay. All right, wait. So this is kind of funny. A lot of people don't know that I did 1,000 kilometer walk across Sudan. Like I walked 30 days, 1,000 kilometers from Darfur to Khartoum, and it was for peace. It was for civilian peace talks, which we restarted now, and it was one of the hardest things ever. But people were very surprised because when I said I was going to do it, they didn't believe me because they don't know that I'm actually pretty athletic. I rock climb, I do a lot of different things. Right now I have a spinal injury, so I don't do that right now, but honestly, the walk definitely contributed to the spinal issues. But walking 1,000 kilometers, for reference, that's like more than 600 miles in 30 days. Thousands of people joined across the way. And I think because I seem like this kind of like small, artsy, whatever kind of person, they say, yeah, bit means girl. I'm a woman, a young woman, like alhamdulillah. I think a lot of people misunderstand that the strength is not only in my voice or in my heart or in my soul, but I'm a very strong person, especially with my siblings, learning to pick them up over time and stuff like that. And I think that's something that I would say. Don't ever underestimate women because we can do incredible things. Yeah.
Amen. Amen to that. Exactly. The 1,000 kilometer is crazy. That's something
Yeah.
uh applaud you for it, and we have to really talk about that too. But last but not least, what is Emi's guilty pleasure?
How did you know I have a guilty pleasure? Shh, I'm kidding.
You do.
I
A lot
love,
of people
love,
say
love.
ice cream. I don't understand. I
Oh,
don't
I'm gonna
like
tell
ice
you
cream
what it
that
is.
much.
I absolutely, well, maybe like it's not too big of a stretch because I love writing, I love stories. I love TV. Like I love watching different dramas and stuff like that. I love Breaking Bad. I just finished House of Dragon. Like I really like TV. I love anime. I love One Piece because I like the stories where the good guys
You and my kids both.
win. Like a lot of your honestly, like if if more people watched anime, maybe the world would be a little better. Or if more people wrote poetry. So that's my guilty pleasure. I like to watch cartoons and I like to watch TV. That's my guilty pleasure. I
Both of
stream
my
a lot.
girls are gonna love you.
Oh, that's so sweet. I was
They
gonna say one
forced
thing.
me to watch a couple of their anime shows, Hunter x
Good.
Hunter, and yeah,
Oh my God, Hunter x Hunter is so good.
yes, and
You're awesome, mashallah.
few other ones that I'm sitting here. I'm like, oh my God, like all of this blood and what is
Oh
it?
yeah, no, no,
But
watch the bloody ones.
but
But
at the
Hunter,
end, the good people win. I hope
yeah,
this will happen in
exactly.
our real world.
JJK, that's a great one.
Yes,
Every
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And
But
I've also played
time, say that again.
another guilty pleasure is I play video games. I told
Oh,
you I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd.
okay.
I was gonna say one
Oh,
thing,
you're
Hajar, that
good
I
one.
forgot to mention.
I know you deserve it.
Thank you so much. For all of your viewers who are Sudanese and all of your network who are Sudanese, we're still collecting civilian recommendations for peace. So I'll send you the link. So anyone who still wants their voice to be heard through the peace talks, like please send it through, inshallah. And I think we're going to be done probably by Friday. We extended it many times because our people sometimes need some extra time. Yeah. But if you want to send your voices over for peace, just please send it through. Yeah. We'll make sure your voices are heard, inshallah.
Amazing, amazing. Well, Amy, I am so
Yeah,
honored to have you
thank you.
today. And even though we are finishing early, but I promise that and also going to share all our contact information.
Thank you so
And
much.
I invite all of you to go visit, listen to her poem, hear her story, um, follow her organization, see how you can support, and most importantly, learn about Sudan, keep eyes on Sudan, and support the people of Sudan. Amy, thank you so
Thank you
very
so much,
much for
Hajra.
giving me the time and for being here with us. You are amazing. Keep shining, keep smiling. Don't let anyone make you change who you are.
You're amazing, Hajra. Thank you so much. You make me so inspired and so excited. I'm sorry, I just kept talking because you're just so
Oh
inspiring.
no, I
And I
love
just
it.
thank you. I'm sorry for interrupting. Thank you so much for everything. And thank you for giving us time and space. And thank you for everything you do as well. Maybe we'll
Thank
watch
you,
anime
Amy.
together.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And you are just an amazing young lady, and the sky is not the limit because there is way more stars and places that you can go
Oh,
to, and using your voice, continue using your voice to help and support and inspire other people. Thank you, Amy.
thank you so much.